Let's go.
All right, so today on the Rainmaker podcast, we have the Queen Bee OG, Nina D. Nina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be on today.
For sure, for sure. So we don't want to have any fluff. We just want to hop right in, and I'm super excited because this has been 2 years in the making for me. I've looked up to you for a long time and been following your success. And so, what I want to kind of start with is take me back to the beginning. When did you realize that you were different and you didn't want a 9 to 5 and you wanted to kind of take a different path?
Absolutely. So it's kind of crazy. So originally, I'm from Serbia. I moved to Arizona when I was 3 years old. So back in
Mm,
1998, and my parents basically moved out here due to the war, and we moved out here and like no joke, since I was like a little girl, like there was something in me where I just wanted to take care of my family. And I know like everyone has their why. Mine has always been my family. And like I wanted to show them that moving to the US like was 100% worth it for them and our family across the board. So um I grew up essentially in a household where my parents were like, if you don't go to school, if you don't get your master's degree, if you don't get your PhD, like you're you didn't accomplish anything in life. And I never really believed that because I always had listened to a bunch of different entrepreneurs, whether it's through YouTube, through podcasts, like growing up, that's what I kind of surrounded myself with and mainly listened to. So my parents didn't really agree with me like 99% of the time when it came to this stuff. So had made a promise to them, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get my bachelor's degree and then we'll see what happens from there. So essentially, I went to Arizona State University. I got my degree in dietetics and nutrition. And literally, right out of college, my parents got on me and they were like, all right, you got your bachelor's. What's next? Are you on your way to get your master's? I'm like, no. And from there, I basically started my own personal training business. So I always knew I wanted to own my own business or be somewhat of an entrepreneur. So I basically went to this local gym and I signed up to pay this monthly fee to start my personal training business. And
mm,
basically, so this was in 2017, right around then. Built up a clientele pretty quick, and it was all relatively through social media. And
mhm.
I made like 103 grand my first year, and I was
Wow.
on top of the world. I'm like, oh my goodness, like this is it. I'm doing this. And there's highs and lows with being an entrepreneur. And
Yes.
I one day I like sat down with myself and I said, okay, I'm a trainer now. Things are going well. But what happens when I'm like 40, 50, 60 years old? Like, who's going to want to train with me? Like, that was going through my head at that time. I'm like, oh my, like, what am I doing?
Right.
So I was on social media scrolling one day and I saw a friend post about the life insurance industry. And I was
Mhm.
like, life insurance? And she was posting about all this money she was making. I'm like, oh my God, like, I didn't
Wow.
realize so many people crush this industry. So I reached out to her and I was like, hey, what is this? What's this all about? She sent me like a quick little clip. I'm like, this looks interesting. She's like, dude, you could be rich in this industry. So I literally was like, you know what? Let me just take my life insurance exam and see what happens. Now, I was one of
Nice.
those people where it took me like 8 months to pass my life insurance exam. And I literally
Yeah,
failed it
I
like,
took it 3 times.
isn't that the best? The best, I swear, the best people in this industry like take it multiple times. It's kind of crazy. Um,
Crazy.
I took it on my fourth try, passed by 1%, and I was like, "Let's do this. I'm in. Let's go." And
Nice.
I started with a captive company in 2018,
Mhm.
and I was there for a couple years. I was a top producer in the company, and in my best year there, I made 39 grand as a top producer, which is like
Wow.
it's insane. So literally it was there. I'm one of those people where if I start something, like I'm going to finish it. I'm going to find a way to finish it. So I kind of stuck it through as much as I could. And then I got introduced to the broker world of insurance, and here we are.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And so I kind of want to go back to that. So a lot of times we get introduced to the business from a practice company, and it's probably something that's captive or the commission rate is a little bit lower. But that's where we kind of learn. We make a lot of mistakes, and that sandbox that we get to play in ends up being that $1 million 6 months, 9 months, 12 months for us because we're able to do that. And then once we realize what our value is, right now we realize that there's a bigger opportunities. But what did you learn being at that time, kind of being a newer agent when you're first starting out?
Oh my gosh. I learned that like failing's okay first and foremost because like
Mm,
it's such a new business and such a new industry where like I think a lot of people come into this and they think it's going to be easy and that it's just like, oh, I'm selling clients insurance. Like this can't be that hard. Where like, dude, it took me like 30 days to make my first sale even. And like
mm,
I realized that like not everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies, especially in the very beginning, but I'm big on like if I'm going to give something a shot, I'm at least going to give it 6 months. I don't care if it takes me 6 months to make my first sale, like if I took 8 months to pass this insurance exam and if I failed it three different times past my fourth try by 1%, like I'm sticking this thing out and doing whatever
mm.
it takes to work. And you know what? A lot of people ask me like, do you regret starting with that company and not the company that you're with now? And I'm like, no way, like not a chance. Because I feel like if I didn't go through that and I didn't,
Right.
if I just didn't experience what I experienced with that company, I wouldn't have learned those lessons that have helped me get to where I am today.
Yeah, for sure. And you said something that really stood out to me. So I just want to kind of go back to it. You said that when you start something, you always set out to finish it. And there's one thing that I noticed between successful people is their word is their bond. And when they commit to something, they finish it all the way through, or they try to leave it better than they picked it up. So where do you think that comes from in you, where you when you start something, you kind of commit that? What's that all about?
I'm big on respecting myself. And I like those people that are like, hey, I'm going to wake up for the gym super, super early today. And they don't wake up for the gym super, super early today. Or there's those people that, make gym plans with their friends and wake up at, 5 a.m. for the gym. And they're up right away because they're like, oh, I don't want to disappoint my friend. But would they show up the same way when that alarm goes off at 5 a.m. for themselves? Probably not. But I'm big, huge on like respecting myself enough to actually follow through with what I say I'm going to do. But always been that way. I just feel like you have to have that level of respect for yourself in order to accomplish anything in life.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that because there's a saying that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And a lot of times with entrepreneurship, life insurance, real estate, whatever it is, typically people don't have business problems. Typically they have personal problems that reflect in their business. And so again, it goes back to the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. And if you have the self-discipline or the habit of finishing things, that is a recipe for success for sure. So, I guess the next thing I'm curious about is when did you realize that you had figured it out, or the light bulb went on in the insurance business, where you're like, oh, okay, I've got it. Now I'm going to make a bunch of money, right? Because there's that one thing when you're first starting out, you're still not sure, and then you're like, okay, well, maybe I should have went back to school, right? Or maybe I should have used my degree in something. We have those things in the back of our mind, trying to prove things to maybe it's our family or whatever because we went to school. When did you realize, okay, I've got it. Now I'm about to make a bunch of money?
Yeah. So I think for me, like I wasn't always the most consistent person. And that bit me in the butt a couple times just because I was one of those agents, like even with the company that I'm with today, like I started out, I thought I was a full-time agent, but in reality, I was part-time. Like I was one of those people that would, come in, have a great week, and then the next couple weeks I'd take off to Hawaii, I'd take off to California, like you name it. Like I was that traveling agent that would come back a week or two later and I'm broke again, and then I'd have to work really, really hard just to survive. And
That
honestly, for
vicious
me,
cycle.
yep, 100%. And I think a lot of people have to go through that. Truly, I think everyone has to go through that at one point or another to kind of learn. So for me, like, I just got so sick of being broke. Like, truly, I was always in that cycle, and I had to have like a real intentional tough conversation with myself of, hey, okay, I was 25-ish at the time, 24, and I'm like, hey, like, I can either stop what I'm doing right now because it's obviously not working, and I can reevaluate my life and learn and become very consistent. That way I could get ahead of everyone else my age, or I can continue to do what I'm doing and I'm going to be in the same situation for the rest of my life. And what I chose to do was surround myself with people that were where I wanted to be. Like, I think like who you surround yourself is obviously very important. Like, I was that person that was always around the people that were partying, and it's very easy to get lost in that when you're in your 20s in this business, right?
Yes.
uh, but I started seeking advice from, heavy hitters, not only in this industry, but that were successful in other industries as well. And one thing they all had in common was that they were all adults and they were all consistent, right?
Yeah.
So I just attempted, and worked really hard to nail down my discipline. And basically, it's been great since then.
It's so funny that like the mentality for life insurance or real estate, whatever it is, specifically being an entrepreneur who specializes in selling life insurance, right? Because there's no question that you could probably go and do another market and probably be successful. And there's one thing that keeps coming up because success leaves clues, which is surround yourself with people who are crushing it, and you'll start to pick up some good habits. And one of those is when new entrepreneurs come into the life insurance business, they bring the old 9 to 5 mentality with them, which is that check to check mentality where you work for 5 days and you got 2 days off, right?
Yep.
And then you spend, and now you're dependent, right? You're behind, so now you're desperate and depending on, that next check to come in. And until you really realize that you've brought that mentality in, you're still a 1099 living check to check, right?
Yep. A hundred
Hmm.
percent. A lot of people come into this business with that employee mindset, and it just never works out. It never works out. When you're in business for yourself, it's 24/7. It does not turn off.
Mm. So, a couple things that I thought was impressive for you is one that you've been able to produce, but more importantly, you have become a phenomenal leader and have been able to build something extraordinary. So, when did you initially start building your agency? And then, now you got people to start following you. It's like, oh crap, well, I got to lead these people. I got to train them, right? I can't just,
Yep.
bring them on. Now I got a responsibility for them. What was that
Yeah.
like?
So it's kind of funny because I never saw myself as a recruiter. Like, I knew I
Mm.
could always go out there and sell and figure out that part of the business, but I remember going to this one conference, and our CEO was talking about how everyone, can get to, the highest comp in our company. And I was like, in my head, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm never going to get to that comp because I'm never going to build a business. So believe it or not, it actually took me 9 months to start recruiting in this business. And
Hmm.
the reason why is because I was one of those people that was like, I just want to learn how to do it myself first
Ah,
before I can do that. Which, in a way, I regret doing that. Like, when people ask me, what's one thing you wish you started doing sooner? It's 100% recruiting, just because there's so
hmm.
many other lives that could have been changed in the meantime. But for me, 9 months it took me, but I really mastered the selling part of the business. And I think that's super important. If you want to lead a team, you have to act as if you're the agent that you would like to recruit in this business. So I always was like, dude, if I'm going to recruit someone or bring someone into this business, I want to be able to not tell them what to do. I want to be able to show them what to do.
Yeah,
So I've always, always, always lived by that. And that was the biggest thing. And I honestly believe that if you're in this business, if you want to build it like massively, that you have to lead from the front.
for sure. And I'm glad you said that because just kind of reflecting back and looking at, okay, it took you 9 months. The main word that stands out to that is mastery, right? You became a master of sales. And I feel like sometimes in this industry, we get duped into thinking that it's just the leads, and we keep blaming the leads and we keep blaming the vendors, and we never point the thing at ourselves and saying, I need to get better at communication, persuasion, and influence, and I need to master one of these things. And ultimately, that wraps into sales. It's like, because you can't change anybody's life until that transaction happens in our industry. And so, in those 9 months, you were able to master sales. And now, when you're bringing people on, you can show them exactly what you did in order for them to have success, and you've kind of laid the blueprint.
Exactly. And it's honestly, it's social proof. Like for me, the way I did it was I had a minimum that I had to hit every single month in personal sales. And then from there, I'm big on social media recruiting. Like I think
Okay.
that's period the best way to recruit in this business. Everyone uses social media. I
Hmm.
send hundreds of messages a day, but like my way of recruiting in the beginning was, I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars in recruiting. I'm like, dude, I could use these platforms for free and just post and be loud on social. So like what I did was I sold at a high level, and it's social proof. So if I'm posting all the time about how much I'm selling, people see that, and it's automatically attraction marketing. They become attracted to
Hmm.
what I'm, and they're like, hey, Nina, what do you do? I'm interested. And then from there, we plug them into our system, get them going. But what happened is I was depending so hard on attraction marketing for the longest time. I'm like, I'm posting, I'm, always attracting people to this business. But eventually it's like, it kind of slows down, right? So I had to come up with new ways to build and market. So there's on one side there's attraction marketing, on the other side there's outreach marketing. And I think it's
Hmm.
really important to reach out to people as well and not only expect people to reach out to you. So I started messaging at least 100 people every single day, whether they were in sales, in this business, solar sales, pest control, like no matter where they were, I was sending
Yeah.
someone a message on Instagram to get them
Yeah.
into business.
And it's funny because like these things about successful people, I'm starting to see some trends now. You're a hustler, right? You're just a hustler. And the reason why I can recognize that is because I remember, and we just talked about this off camera, but I remember hitting you up and DMing you like crazy 2 years ago. And that's the same thing. Even at your level, you're still hitting people up, you're still doing the work and leveraging social media. I mean, everybody's on it. I know a lot of agents are saying, "Oh, I hate social media and this." Well, you have to go where the attention is, and everybody's attention is on social media. So if you want to grow your business, you need to have some component on there, some kind of branding or social proof on there, because again, that's the first thing people are going to do when they Google you. Guess what pops up? The first thing that pops up is your LinkedIn or your Facebook, and people want to check you out. So you need to have some breadcrumbs there, something that captures their attention, that kind of intrigues them, but also gives you some social proof.
100%. I agree. And there's just so many platforms, and the fact that it's free. Like if you go on Facebook, there's hundreds of different groups, no matter what industry you're in. There's real estate groups, solar groups. There's so much that you can not only learn from those groups and apply to your own business, but there's so many people out there that you can recruit. Even like TikTok or Snapchat, like
Yeah.
all these crazy platforms, and there's new ones all the time. Like my motto is if I can add someone or request someone as a friend on it, I'm using it to recruit.
Yeah, for sure. So when did you discover this the power of social media for you to grow your life insurance business? How did you come across that?
Yeah. Well, I just kind of I had my first massive month in the life insurance industry, and someone told me like, "Dude, why aren't you posting that like on social media? Why aren't you posting what you've done? Like there's so many people that could benefit from this opportunity." And believe it or not, what started happening is it took me so long to start recruiting that people I knew, like this is a true story, but someone I knew from kindergarten started FSL or started with our company with another agent. And I'm like, with another agency that wasn't a part of mine. And I'm like, dude, like, why didn't you reach out to me? And they were like, because you literally I didn't even know you worked here. You don't post on social.
Mm.
So from then on, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many people out there that I know. So I just kind of just started posting. First, it was Instagram. Honestly, to my first 150,000 a month as an agency was truly built through Instagram and LinkedIn. And it was a lot of cold messaging people on LinkedIn, a lot of actually non-licensed agents as well. And
Mm.
then also just on Instagram. And the way I do it is I post on stories all the time. There has not been a day that has gone by since I've started with my current company 3 years ago that I haven't posted on social media.
Yeah.
And, some days I'll get 10 agents that message me. Some days I'll get none. But like, it's kind of just like dialing the phones. Like, the more
Yeah.
consistent you are, the more appointments you're going to book. The more
Yeah.
messages you send out, the more you post, the more agents are going to reach out to you, the more people you're going to recruit into your business.
Awesome. And so I really want this to be really, really valuable. And I don't need you to give away all the golden nuggets, but just kind of walk me through. So you post a story, and then when you're reaching out to somebody, are you checking to see who viewed your story or who engaged with it? And you're reaching out to those people. Kind of walk me through a little bit of like what that looks like.
Yeah. So I think every platform, first and foremost, is going to be different. So like the things that you do on LinkedIn, you're probably not going to do Instagram, because LinkedIn is more of like a jobbing site, career site,
Hmm.
where Instagram and Facebook, they're more personable. Like, they're people that you're following because you like the stuff that they post. It's not necessarily to recruit them into your business.
Right.
So the way I do it on LinkedIn is I'll look up whether it's different life insurance companies, different solar companies, different pest control companies, whatever it is. I'm just looking these people up. I'm connecting with them. And I'm consistently posting on LinkedIn as well. I don't want to just be that person that adds people. Like, I want to post valuable content as well. So I'm always
Yeah.
posting different things on there. When I message someone, let's say it's someone in solar sales, hey, a lot of people that are in solar sales are getting their life insurance license on top of selling solar. Would you be interested in learning more? So on LinkedIn, it's okay to be kind of direct like that. On Instagram, it's a different story.
Hmm.
So, for example, like, I always tell this story, like the way I recruited Josh Williams. So,
Yeah, my
um,
gosh. Shout out to Josh Williams here in Nashville.
shout out to J Will. He is a killer in this industry. But for example, like, I found him through a hashtag, and that's typically how I find people. So a couple different ways to find people on Instagram. You can do hashtags. If you hashtag life insurance agent, there's like 200,000 posts just under that one hashtag. If you
Mm.
hashtag solar sales, there's thousands of posts. If you go to locations, you could look up different offices. Like, there's just so many ways to find people. But essentially, a hashtag life insurance agent. Josh popped up. We didn't know each other prior. I followed him.
Hmm.
From there, I posted, and he followed me back. And I posted stuff all the time. And I always saw him watching my stuff. And
Yes.
one day I did an Instagram live, and I saw it was like, Josh Williams is watching your Instagram live. And I was doing an overview of the life insurance industry. And he looked at, he was on, and afterwards I like reached out to him and I say, hey, I saw you on our live. Are you interested in learning more? And what's funny is Josh said, hell no, I'm not interested. And I said, no worries, respect your hustle, keep crushing it. I don't, another thing where people go wrong is they like burn that bridge. They start going off on the person about why their company's better than the other. I don't do that. I'm like,
Oh,
hey,
yeah.
I still want this person to follow me, watch my stuff, and eventually they'll be here. But my response to Josh was, okay, let me know when you're ready. Literally, like 3, 4, 6 months later, he messages me and he's like, hey, let's get on a Zoom. I've been watching all the stuff that you've been posting. I've been watching all your success. Where if I didn't post as much as I did, he probably would have reached out to someone else. So
Mm.
that's one way. But if I'm directly reaching out to people, let's say I find someone under a hashtag life insurance agent, I'll follow
Yeah.
them. Then essentially I just try to start a conversation. I don't directly go into like, hey, are you interested in becoming a life insurance agent? I'll see if they posted a story. Maybe I'll respond to the story, or maybe I'll send them a message that says, hey, I see you're in the industry and you're crushing it. How long have you been working with your company? And then kind of gauge that conversation from there. I know a lot of people ask, like, what's the magic message that you send out? I don't think there's a magic message. I
Yeah, it's
simply
being
think
human.
exactly. And then just putting in the activity. Like, out of the 100 messages I send every single day, like there's days where I get 0 recruits, and then
Yeah.
there's days where I get 4 or 5, which is amazing. So
Yeah.
it's just the
And I'm glad you
activity.
said that too. I'm glad you put a number to it because a lot of people are like, oh, social media doesn't work. And then you ask them what they did. It's like, oh, I sent 5 messages. Right? And that's
Yeah.
so that's like the first thing. But to just kind of sum, because I took some notes. So starting with hashtags, and then you wanna the way that you reach out to people is if it's gonna be in a direct way, you can use LinkedIn. If you wanna do it in a direct way, using lifestyle and social proof, Instagram is a
Yep.
really good way to do that. And again, anybody that you can send a request to and basically some messages, but then you wanna share some social proof, and then if you can do some lives, overviews of kind of the opportunity in your business is really good. And then people who are on there watching, who are following you, you can probably reach out to them and DM them and really not like hard pitch, just kind of check in and say, hey, what's up? Thanks. I saw you like watching my stuff and start a conversation there. And I think that that's what a lot of agents kind of full court press on that part, which is,
Yep.
nobody wants to be sold, right? And so what you want to do is you want to just like open the door for a conversation and leave it in their court. And if they're following you, there's just a matter of time that that content or those social proof or those deposits or whatever it is, it'll start to hypnotize them and they'll realize, man, I'm in the wrong vehicle and I need to do what she's doing. So let me reach out.
Yep. There's I don't know if you watch or follow Alex Hormozy, but he made a post the other day that was like, hey, no matter what industry you're in, if you send out 100 messages to whether it's to clients, to prospects, to recruits, whatever it is, there's no way you can't build a big business. It's just the
Mm.
truth, just because the proof's in the numbers.
Wow, yeah, and I'm a big fan of Alex Hormozy because he just gives you the value and the truth, and I love it. So I got a question. This isn't just dawned on me, but what does it take to build a big agency that most people aren't talking about that you feel like is probably left out of the expectations when you're trying to like, all right, I want to build $1 million a month agency.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's truly a lot of sacrifices. Like, it's
Mm,
not supposed to be easy. And I think a lot of the time people paint this picture like, oh, it's so easy to build an insurance agency, blah, 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 blah. It's a lot of sacrifices.
okay.
Like, for me, I had to give a lot of things up. It's not working 40 hours a week. Like, over the last 3 years with my current company, 3.5 years, I've been probably working 100-hour weeks every single week. And it's truly just like, and the reason why is because obviously there's levels to it. Like, you want to keep growing personally, but there's so many agents' lives that can literally change in this industry. Like, I always tell this, I don't know if you've heard or know of Caitlin Blackburn, but her
Yes.
story is so, so inspiring. She started in the life insurance industry last April, and she was like brand new to the industry, had no experience, just got licensed. From April to December, she issued like a crazy amount of insurance, crazy amount. And she was literally in April about to lose custody of her daughter.
Wow.
And he didn't, because she was able to make more income and support her, right, in ways that she couldn't before. So like, I think of those situations and I'm like, this is what gets me to keep going in this industry, because there's so many future agents that whose lives can change in like that same sense, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lot of sacrifices. Like, it's truly putting in the work. It's supposed to be hard. This industry's not supposed to be easy, and yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of times people are escaping from something, and
Hmm.
it's not just for the money; it's escaping from hard work, and it's
Yeah.
in and so I tweeted something a couple of days ago, and it says most people haven't achieved their dreams because they think a 40-hour work week is hard working. And then I put in parentheses perspective: the average billionaire works 10 hours a day, 6 days a week,
100%.
because that's
Literally.
what it
It's
takes.
Yeah, I think people are scared to put in that work. And I think it's okay to miss time with your family for a small period of time, right? Like, I had to have that conversation with my parents. My parents are super attached and like, hey, let's go to coffee on a Tuesday morning. I'm like, dude, no, I gotta work because I'm trying to make your life easier and better, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work, but it's 100% worth it.
Yeah, sacrifice. I mentioned this also, that the things that you work the hardest for, that you have had to sacrifice sort of blood, sweat, and tears, those are the things that you're most proud of, right? And usually, if it's free, you really don't kind of take it that serious. But that thing that you sacrifice for is your badge of honor, because you know that most people are still in bed, or they've given up, or they're not still working. They've kind of melded in and given some excuse like, oh, it's Christmas time or this or that, while you're
Yep.
still working and pouring it on. And that's the difference. This life insurance business is a consistency and persistency business, and it rewards the hard workers. So, and that's another reason why I wanted to have you on the show, is because you are hardworking, and you have that commitment to excellence, and you're willing to go farther than most people are willing to go. So I guess, the as we kind of wrap this show up, what's next for you? What are you excited about going into 2023? What are you working on right now? What are you building in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm just super excited. First off, I can't believe how fast this year has gone by. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah, it's insane. But so last year, our life insurance agency issued about 18 million. This year, we'll finish off the year at around 52 million. Next year, our goal is over 125 million. So we have so
Wow.
much work to do. I'm big on like, I'm never going to stop doing the things that got me here in the first place. So I will be out here sending out 100, 200, 300 messages a day, whatever it takes. I'm going to continue leading the team from the front, and I just won't stop. There's so many lives that deserve to be changed in this industry, and I'm just looking forward to the new year.
Yeah, I'm excited too, to follow you, and to be a witness to another lady boss just coming through, because we need more of that as well. So I'm definitely here to celebrate all of that and be a witness to that. So as life insurance agents are watching this and they may want to follow you, what's your Instagram handle so they can kind of check you out?
It's at Nina. My last name is Damjanovic, Damjanovic.
Awesome. Well, Nina, it's been great hanging out with you today. Definitely appreciate you, and you are definitely a rainmaker
Thank you for having me.
for sure.